What is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the words lock in, bro? Because you're probably thinking of alpha male, Andrew Tate, hustle culture. You know, you see those stupid clips that show up on Instagram Reels. And of course, the logical kind of solution to this is to not overwork, to not work as hard, and to understand that you need some time for yourself, to unwind, to relax, and all of that, because otherwise, you're going to be living a pretty miserable life, right? Now, let me tell you my point of view on this as someone who actually had a lot of time to unwind, to relax. In fact, I literally had all the time in the world, and I still do. I dropped out of high school when I was 12. Yeah, when I was 12, so like before starting the second year of high school, I dropped out. And since then, I haven't gone to school. And literally the moment I stopped going to school and I had all the time in the world, like as a teenager, as a preteen, I was just playing video games all day. I was inside of my room, like picture this. I was inside of my room. My room was dark. There were no windows. I didn't have a chair, like it was a pretty small room, so I had my bed on the corner of the room, and then I had my desk next to my bed. So because I didn't have a chair, I would literally just wake up and use my sit on my bed, on the edge of my bed, and just start playing video games. Like a fucking and the worst thing is that I would have a crazy schedule. Like I would go to sleep at 9 a.m. I would go to sleep at 9 a.m. and I would go to bed at like 6 p.m. because I was playing video games all day. I would wake up, play video games with my Discord friends all day. Then I would watch some anime. I would literally never go outside. I was barely even eating. I was pretty much malnourished. And whenever I would finally eat, it would be some bullshit like cake or pancakes or pizza. You know, I wouldn't be eating any real food like burgers. So I was living like a fucking spurg, basically. This video is not me telling you, yeah, you should live like this is completely normal. Because it's like the fat woman on social media who says that if you weigh 300 pounds, you're healthy, and if you go to the gym, you're fat phobic. You know, it's never the solution to blame things on others. I could be here. I was 12, you know, I was very young. I was 12. This went on for I wasn't even doing that at 12. Even at 12, I was a little bit healthier than that. It was more when I was like 14 to 15 years old. Even at 16 a little bit. But yeah, those 2 years were pretty fucking awful. And yeah, I was young. But I still think that you learn a lot instead of blaming the responsibility and whatever happens to you, to the universe or to whatever random circumstance. Oh, my parents were bad to me or something. Or I didn't have any friends. So I used to use that excuse a lot, by the way. I didn't have any friends, so I would just Discord a lot and play video games with my friends. Which is understandable, but still, fucking take responsibility, right? Even if it's not necessarily your fault, you will always learn by owning up to your mistakes, because in the end it's your fucking life and nobody's going to take responsibility for you, right? All of this to say that I went from being a very degenerate person, there's no other way of saying it. I'm not going to even justify myself by saying that I was 15, because a fucking 15-year-old is already a man, it's already a young man. You should be able to develop a sense for responsibility at that age, or even younger. I don't even think age has anything to do with being a man, by the way. I think you can be very young and be a fucking man. I think it's about responsibility, because, you know, most people are not even able to take responsibility by themselves. Most people are not able to own up to their mistakes. Even adults, people over 30, they're not able to take responsibility. So after I turned 15, 16, until right now, I started to improve my life for real. I started to go to the gym. I started to eat cleaner. I started to be more social. I started to work on my business, everything. And, you know, I have made a fuck ton of progress, and I'm basically a different person. I still don't feel satisfied because, you know, I have a lot of high standards now that I realize the potential that I have, and I want more. But, you know, for the standards of a teenager, especially in this day and age, I feel like I have achieved a lot. I've made a lot of progress. I literally went from a malnourished, ungroomed, junk food eating teenager that was too shy to talk to people. I wouldn't even go outside, man. And now I'm jacked, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm social. And I genuinely enjoy life. That doesn't mean life is easy at all. But now it's you know, life never stops being hard. It never stopped being hard for me. But now I see these challenges as a way to grow. Now I see these things with so much excitement and passion. And this is what naturally pulls me towards locking in. Because now I live a life where I'm actually more locked in, if you can call it that, right? So when I was 15, I wasn't locked in, right? That is the difference. That is the tangible difference of either being locked in or living like a fucking spurg like I used to. Now, let me tell you a very interesting realization that I had the other day about depression. You see, depression in men is on the rise, and like apparently it's like normal to have depression and mental illness nowadays. And I specifically want to talk about depression in men because whenever you think about depression, you may think of being sad. You may think, oh, I'm sad because this happened to me, because my life is shit, so I'm sad, you know? And this is what you don't realize. Depression is not sadness. You know what depression is? Depression is lack of purpose. If you're my age, if you're 19, 20 years old, you've probably got to a point where, like in life, where you got depression. The type of depression that makes you genuinely want to kill yourself, want to end your life, that type of depression. When you're a man, that type of depression doesn't come from sadness. It comes from a genuine lack of purpose. It comes from not feeling like you're doing anything to grow, like you're not doing anything that contributes to humanity. And that instead of growing as a person, every day you look at yourself in the mirror in disgust and you're like, man, how did I get this bad? How did my physique get so shit? How did I get so awkward? How did my habits came so shit all of a sudden? How am I slacking off so hard? That's the type of stuff that gets you depressed, because when you're living a healthy life, when you're living a locked in life, you know, like the alpha male Andrew Tate life, where it's like, of course, I'm kidding, but I mean when you stop living like a full-on degenerate, that's when you are simply unable. You become unable to get depression. It's like getting a vaccine against depression. And do you want to know what's the best vaccine for depression? It's actually testosterone. Because if you're a man, again, I'm doing a lot of emphasis in the man part of things, because men psychology works different than a woman's psychology. Because women are not supposed to take the same responsibility as men. And I'm not being sexist here. Instead, I'm defending women and taking away responsibility from them. Because women are taking, and this is a very real modern world problem, right? But I feel like women are taking more responsibility than they should, because most men are weak right now in the modern world. So women are developing more masculine traits and characters, whilst men are developing the opposite. And let me tell you something, nobody is happy in this type of dynamic. Women are not happy being the ones who are supposed to be responsible and who need to take care of their man. They're like, a fucking woman is not supposed to take care of their man. If anything, the opposite. She's not the one who's supposed to... Like, imagine a man and a woman living together, and there is a fucking big-ass cockroach in the kitchen. Who's the one that gets up and kill it? It has to be the man. Because the woman doesn't want to do it. But someone's got to do it. Like, who's it going to be? The man or the woman? It's not sexist. If anything, I'm saying that men are supposed to work harder than women and being the ones who do take responsibility. Because when you're a man, you feel like you've been living your whole life in such a weak way, where you feel like you're not even the owner of your own life. You feel like you're waiting for everyone else to tell you what to do and guide your life. You know, you're always waiting for a daddy to tell you what to do. I didn't even have like a very present dad figure in my life, so I was very reliant on my mom. So you can very much imagine how fucked up of a dynamic that was, because I was living very dependent until I realized that this is not what I wanted. I wasn't happy like this. This is the easiest way as a man to become depressed and to become, to become feminine. Is to lose the sense for responsibility. I don't know how to explain it. Making yourself responsible for things that are difficult, challenging, uncomfortable should be frictionless for a man, should feel good, because, you know, testosterone does play a role. That's why I mentioned testosterone earlier. Because when you have a lot of testosterone, even if you inject testosterone like synthetic testosterone artificially, because the hypothalamus, this area of your brain, and your literal brain cells have androgen receptors, which means that they respond to testosterone. What's going to happen is that if you have higher levels of testosterone, taking responsibility and doing hard things, especially taking social challenges, feels good, feels rewarding. It's actually that, it's almost like an addiction. It's something that you're just simply pulled towards. And when you have low levels of testosterone, this feels very challenging. You don't want to go outside. You don't want to talk to people. You have low libido. You feel insecure. You feel like low in like the social status hierarchy. You feel like you can't even approach a woman because you feel too much of a spurg. You feel just like insecure and like a little bitch. And I felt like this for a long time, man. I think this is genuine mental illness that we are experiencing as men in like as a collective. This is why I started taking testosterone. This is why I hopped on TRT, because it's fucked up living like this, man. It's honestly fucked up. And the moment, like a few weeks after I started testosterone, it's been night and day. It's been like, okay, I feel the way I'm supposed to be. I can actually wake up in the morning, not only with a hard dick, but actually with motivation and passion for, pursuing these challenges in life. So I wrote down the title of this video, thinking of this. If you're a man and you're not taking responsibility, if you're not locked in, you're going to feel worse. You're going to feel depressed. You're going to feel like you're not doing anything to help humanity, because what happens if you're not locked in? Okay, you say that we gotta relax. Like I said in the beginning of the video, relaxing is good, unwinding is good, working all day can be daunting if you don't allow yourself to rest. But the thing is that most people rest by overstimulating themselves, by pursuing instant gratification, like scrolling on Instagram, Reels, TikTok, watching porn, watching some bullshit TV show on Netflix, playing video games all day with their Discord friends. It's not unwinding. You're just wasting time. You're just literally wasting potential. You have a lot of potential and you're wasting it. There's no glory in that. Of course, I think that is mental illness. I think that is, like, you can call me toxic. You can say I'm exaggerating, alpha male, whatever. But I think if I'm not doing this, I'm speaking for myself, right? As a person who has experienced the other end of being locked in, which is like living like a fucking degenerate. If I decide to live like that, or if I decide to take breaks, because look, I don't believe in balance. For me, balance doesn't really work. So if I decide to stop like taking those bullshit breaks, like scrolling and playing video games all day and watching Netflix, what's gonna happen is that I'm gonna be miserable. I'm going to have second thoughts about, oh, I'm not even enjoying this shit. I need to work. I need to do something great. Because when you start working on something that's purposeful, it doesn't even feel like work. You feel like you're actually doing something, and that's going to create such a barrier for the thoughts of ending your own life. A few weeks ago, I was having a bit of a crisis, which wasn't really a crisis. It's just normal shit that happens. I was considering my role as like someone who is contributing to humanity. I was being like, okay, what am I doing? Is the thing that I'm doing right now enough for me to be satisfied with like the contribution I'm giving to the world? I feel like I'm playing a silly game here. I don't feel like I'm doing something very purposeful. I'm not feeling like I'm helping enough people. And the moment I had that realization, even with like the mentality I have right now, right? I'm no longer a fucking degenerate spurg. So what I thought was, okay, if I'm not contributing to humanity, I might as well kill myself. That's the moment when I realized in the clearest possible way how depression actually works. I was genuinely considering killing myself. But not in this sad way, in like this 14-year-old sad boy way. I'm cutting my wrist with a blade and posting it on social media or something. But it was more of like a logical set of thoughts that I had of like, okay, I'm not doing anything that contributes to humanity. Why am I here? I don't feel like I deserve to be here. I don't feel like I deserve to be here because I have potential and I'm wasting it. So what's the point? You know, that's the type of like logical arrangement of thoughts that I had. And so again, that's when I realized how finding your purpose works, because when you do find your purpose, that's when you're going to be able to lock in, and it's not going to feel like this alpha male shit. Like, because look, if you lock in, whenever people mention lock in, maybe an online business and you're doing like drop shipping or something. Drop shipping, I think, is like selling Chinese crappy products on the internet for like double the price or something. You know, stuff like this, you know, dedicating and investing so much time on doing something so dirty. That is not being locked in, because you're actually not contributing to humanity and you're not doing anything that you enjoy. But if you're doing content like this, for example, or if you're starting a business that is kind of pretty wholesome, or if you're younger and you are going to a gym, or you're being more social, you're optimizing for that, that is absolutely locked in, because you feel like you're actually doing something that, if anything, if it's not helping people right now, it will in the future, or at least it's helping you, and that's enough for now. And then I realized at that moment when I had that thought, I realized, okay, that is the reason why when I was 15 years old, I was playing so much video games. Because I am a fucking man. I was a fucking man at the time, and I was playing so many video games because if I didn't have the video games, I would have genuinely killed myself. Like, I was already having depressive thoughts at like the age of 11, and I'm so convinced I would have genuinely fucking killed myself if I didn't have video games. Because there is nothing else. There is nothing else to life. It's like, I remember thinking as a teenager, like when I was in high school, when I was like very young, I was thinking, I just can't believe that girls don't play video games. It's like, if you're not playing video games, what the fuck else are you doing? Are you staying in your home, like sat there without doing anything? This was even before Instagram and anything. So I was like, okay, what are girls doing? They're just sitting there talking with their friends or something, with their family on the cell phone. Because I couldn't do that shit. I needed to work on something. I needed to see myself grow. So I was playing Call of Duty, and I was playing Call of Duty Zombies or something. And I was like, okay, I want to get to round 50, or I want to get to maximum prestige and level up, or I want to do this other thing. But I was trying to pursue the challenges that I knew that were familiar for me, because, you know, at that time I wasn't going to pursue a fucking business or anything. But video games were the thing that were keeping me from killing myself. And chances are right now it's the same thing for you. This is why you still think that you need to have a balance and find a way of keeping video games in your life. And look, I understand if you don't have video games, if you don't have that little glimpse of purpose and feeling like you're doing any sort of progress in life, you might as well, I'm not even going to say it, but you get my point, right? You might as well stop existing because life doesn't have a real purpose anymore. And so what I want to superficially kind of let you know that you can do is find something even more purposeful that's not artificial, because video games are very artificial. The same thing as porn. I think porn is the best example of this, of like lock-in, because nobody can say that porn is healthy, right? Nobody, zero people can say that porn is healthy. So porn is the artificial thing. It's the artificial version of the thing that you want. So what do you want? You want a healthy relationship, or a relationship and talk to girls and have sex and everything. But you're watching porn because it's easier. You're watching porn because you don't have the balls to actually pursue the real thing. And this is what being locked in versus not being locked in is like. You don't want to be not locked in, because being locked in is just another way of saying living to your potential. And if you're against this, honestly, fuck off. I don't know what else to say, honestly. If I don't live to my potential, I'm gonna kill myself, because there's no point on this. And this is why most men are depressed nowadays, because they don't have anything to work hard towards. We need something to work hard towards. This is why we grind on video games. I used to grind on Black Ops 2. I remember a few years ago, I was playing this custom map on Black Ops 2. It was like in Plutonium. So there was like I was playing zombies, and there was like a high score for the highest round in solo on that map. And I wanted to beat it, and I was spending weeks of my life, night and day, trying to beat it. Because that would literally take hours to do that without any sort of rest, and it was challenging as fuck, right? And I was with my friends. Whenever people joined to the server, I was hyped up, and I was like telling the people, hey, I'm trying to beat the record, help me out. You always want to see progress. Whether it's getting better at Fortnite, or whether it's getting better at an online business or social relationships, or whatever skill you want to pursue. If right now you're waking up every day without any motivation to do anything, to even get up your fucking chair, to get up your ass and talk to people or go outside, this is not necessary. Well, of course, it is your fault, and you need to say out loud, hey, you need to raise your fucking hand and say, yes, it is my fault. I'm not doing the right things, and this is why I'm here. But at the same time, it's not because of you. It's not that there is an intrinsic problem with you. It's that you're just looking for the easy solution. This is not something that should be or even is your natural state. This is just something that happens when you don't work towards the real thing. So just to wrap this video up real quick, I'm going to show you a quick way to figure out your life purpose right now. So if you're trying to find your life purpose, what you want to do with your life, don't think of what you want to do. Oh, I would like to do this. Think of the things that you are not doing. And how do you figure this out? Well, look at your own addictions. Seriously, look at your own addictions. What are you doing right now that is taking most of your energy? That you're obsessing over the most? Are you addicted to playing video games with your Discord friends? Or are you addicted to watching a lot of porn? I honestly can't think of other things, because this is honestly all that's been like inside of my brain this last years since I was like 15. I was addicted to these things because I wanted to develop myself in these things, but the real ones, like the real version of these things. Not porn. I like the goal was never to enjoy or watch porn. You always know that it's like a dirty thing, even when you're young and you don't even like know the concept of no fap and that beating your meat all day is not a healthy thing to do. And also playing video games. You may be coping in some way and saying that you're doing it to unwind, but deep down you know that video games are not that good. And bro, when I was like 12, genuinely, when I was 12 years old exactly, and I was in some way I had like a few months where I was trying to improve my life a little bit. I was doing some exercise. 12 years old, when I was a chronically online addicted, lonely little kid, I still knew that video games were kind of unhealthy. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop playing Fortnite. I'm just gonna like do some other things outside and stop playing video games that much. I'm just gonna stop playing video games. You gotta do the same thing, but quitting these bad habits, what we may consider bad habits, are not the solution. I wouldn't even suggest that you quit these bad habits. What I want you to do is actually pursue the real version of these things. Because when you pursue the real version of the bad habits you have, even without quitting them, that's when you're gonna be like, okay, I don't need you anymore. I don't need you anymore. It's like, imagine you're a homeless person and you find, I don't know, a piece of turd. You find fucking soy meat. The artificial quote unquote meat that is just pure estrogenic soy with pesticides. Imagine you find that on the street as a homeless man, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna eat this because it's the only thing that I have. I know it's shit, but it's the only thing that's keeping me like full in some way. But then you have access to real food. Now you have access to actual meat, like animal food. And now you're like, oh, okay, now this is the real thing. Now I don't want to eat that shit anymore. Of course, at first you can't stop even if you wanted to because you would starve to fucking death, right? It's either starving to death or eating that soy meat crap artificially synthetic bullshit. But now if you pursue the real thing, like the meat, you don't need to eat that crap anymore. You get how it works. Because if you are currently a homeless man and you're trying to quit the bullshit soy product, you're gonna starve to death. So just consider this with whatever is the addiction that you have, and start pulling the thread in your mind. Start to kind of figure out, okay, what is it actually the thing that I want to do here? And you'll figure it out. Trust me, you'll figure it out. Now the hard thing is growing the pair of balls that is required to pursue those things. I'm actually doing it right now. This is my grain of salt with these videos. Not, I'm mostly just doing them for me because, I have this itch that I want to scratch with like posting videos, posting content, and actually doing something that helps people a little bit. So yeah, hopefully you like this video. Locking in seems cringe, but it will actually save your life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.